Greetings to everybody. We are happy to welcome one and all our brothers and sisters all over the world, as well as our members of the American Telugu Association. We restarted these sessions with the request from the ATA membership and the president of ATA, because there were several requests from their members to benefit from the heartfulness method. So we started the introductory classes so we can remind ourselves of the core practices of the heartfulness method. And today we will try to explore with the idea of what is meditation, why meditate, what is the scientific way of thinking about it, what is the yogic perspective of it, how is heartfulness integrating everything and helping humanity at large to help themselves. Because the statement of the elders and the teachers, the masters of the heartfulness ways, that they create masters. They bring the mastery out of every individual with the practice of the meditation, with the method that they have given us, and empower each one with a very unique, what do I call it, a power or very unique connection that the elders have with the highest source, which is the pranahuti, the transmission. So to begin as an introduction, I always like to share one thought that has resonated to my heart, which comes from the ancient Indian Vedic tradition, which is one of the Vedas, Rig Veda. And there is one particular sloka or a stanza called Nasadiya Sukta. For the newcomers and the Western audience, Vedas are very old, ancient, more than 5,000 years ago. There is no time. It started in the beginning when creation began, when the first beings came into existence. They were exploring. They did not know what was happening. And they just originated. So there was absolute purity in them. In spite of all that, they were looking as to how this creation happened, what happened, where did it happen, what is the beginning. So there was a state of perplexity. They were just trying to find answers for so many things. So those sages at that time when the creation began, when the first human beings came into existence, everything was purity. Their senses were in a state of purity. They were in this absolute state, and yet they were looking for something, their beginning. And Vedas were those experiences of those first beings, human beings. Whatever they experienced from their heart was like a sloka. They were just speaking the truth. And in their search, in the very first, this Nasadiya Sukta, it says that God did not know where the beginning was, for he was not there when the beginning was. So they found with their experience, when in the center, there was a stir. That was the female principle. And from there, the creation started. And the first thing that came into existence was space. And then the region of godly region started. That was a region. That was the essence. And there was a gap, a pause. And that's when time was born. And then with the union of this female principle and the male principle, this external manifestation of creation started to happen. This expansion happened. Because this word expansion is important for us to understand in the process of meditation. We are contracting, going inward. So this expansion happened. In that sloka, there is a very wise statement that really touched me. The sages say, the wise looked within their heart and they found what is and what is not. So the being with the wisdom, with clarity, and where did they look for their beginning? They did not look outward. They looked within their own heart because that was the field that was available to them. That was the field where all the powers existed. Everything existed there in that field of the heart that came to the human lot. So they said the wise looked within their own heart and found what is and what is not. And that is the basis of the heartfulness method, looking in the heart. And as time went on, degeneration happened. And all the faculties that were given to human beings, we cannot say degeneration, expansion happened. The beings started to use these faculties that were given to them, the senses, because with senses we perceive everything, outside, inside. And as it became grosser, this extension became grosser, beings started to have the physical body and the subtle body. The need for the subtle body came for the pure self when the senses went outward and started to perform action. And as a result of that, dust was formed. And where can that dust form? Because the pure self that we carry is pure in essence. It has the essence of the origin, the source, the mother, and it cannot be contaminated. The source can never lose its impurity. The source will remain in its essence. And a speck of that source is within us. But because the senses went outward and performed action, as a result of that, some dust happened. There was a need for a field, and this subtle body came into existence in the being. In this subtle body field is where all the impressions form. And what happened to us as we started to utilize the senses more and more and more? This entire manifestation of this earthly plane happened, as we see as scientific development and everything. But in the process, as beings, we lost something. What we lost is the ability to experience joy in its essence. Because our pure self, which is a part of that ultimate source, has its nature, has its essence, and that essence is joy, peace, love. And when there was this middle layer of the subtle body, and the grosser the subtle body became, the heavier the subtle body became with our thoughts and actions, the less we are able to radiate this essence of the soul. So in some sense, we achieved everything, but we lost the peace. So how did we lose the peace? Misdirection of the senses. We did not give the senses a break. We overutilized the senses. That is why in that Vedic statement, they say the wise were able to look within. So what is wisdom? Wisdom is to have clear perception, clarity. What is the ability of the mind? The ability of the mind is to discriminate, to critically think. The ability to think, that got disturbed. And that's when human deterioration started to happen. So how do we fit this need for meditation? What do we do in meditation to bring the mind to a state of balance? So what happened over a period of time? Many of those beings that retained their purity tried to uplift humanity by giving them the methods that they know to how to restore this balance. They did inner research, and depending on what they had available, they tried to help societies where they were in the physical realm. So that is why many masters that descended from that region of the God, that field, those souls that retained their original purity, when they are on the earth plane, they try to help human beings to go back to that state of balance and purity and peace. So they created different systems. They created methods that they discovered at that time. And that is why there were so many people, human beings, great people that came to earth plane, were revered as equivalent to divine, equivalent to godly persons. And there were many methods that came into existence. And over a period of time, like how science evolves, first we had regular iPhone, and then we came iPhone 1, 10, 12, 14. So also in the spiritual research field, the evolution started to happen where these masters invented better methods for human beings to arrive at this state of, what do you call it, as wisdom, balance, where they can live life with joy, peace, and celebration, which is what is missing in this modern day of existence, where our senses are overutilized, our subtle body is so clogged, where there is no more flow. There we bring this concept of the flow of energy. So what we forgot is, in the process, we completely went to the material world, material existence, body consciousness, that we forgot what we have inside ourselves, which we did not take care. So even modern day, if we bring it to the modern day, the scientific field, they are doing this research on what everybody wants to know, their origin, and they are finding it in different ways. What our sages, because of their clear perception, were able to perceive within their own heart, now the scientists are able to do from the matter, from the external world. Because the great sages like Babaji were able to go into their heart and read how this creation began, and they were able to exactly describe everything years and years ago, before science discovered it. But scientific discovery is what makes the modern day human beings to understand the need of that. So we do respect the scientific research. In one of these researches that was done, there were several researches done even by Heartfulness Institute, but several researches done by Harvard or some other universities that I heard it when one physician was giving a lecture. He said that there are 3 things that trigger the balance in the human mind. That is exercise, meditation, and prayer. All that scientific research led to the basic principles of taking care of your body with exercise, taking care of your mind with meditation, taking care of your soul by tapping into a state of prayer. But the same research shows, when your mind is disturbed, are we able to take care of the body? No. Because when your mind is disturbed, you don't eat right, you don't exercise, you are depressed, you cannot do that. So even to have the clarity to take care of the body, we need to have a mind that is clear. And when it comes to the prayer part of it, we all have different religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, belief systems. Heartfulness respects everything. But we have to ask our own heart in these sacred places that we go to find that peace, find that calmness and balance. Are we able to tap into that inner silence in a prayerful state, or because our mind is disturbed, even in the temples and the churches and the mosques and everywhere? The mind is going outward and you are not able to tap into that inner silent prayerful state. So the research shows even to tap into a state of prayer, one need to maintain the mind. So what is this maintenance for the mind? What is the maintenance for the senses that were overworked? You need to give them a break. You need to give them rest. If your body is tired, what do? You lie down, you sleep. Same way, the mind needs its rest and rejuvenation. And there is also another study, according to neuroscience. In a given week, if you are able to just be simply silent for a few hours, a 10 minutes there, a 15 minutes there, the frontal brain regenerates new cells. And the function of the frontal brain is balance, emotional stability, and creativity. What is this ability of creativity? Creativity is your ability to respond in the now spontaneously. How did the creation? It is new. Creativity is something that did not exist. That ability of creativity, we got it from the creator, from the center. The human being has this ability of creativity from his parent. Just like our children cannot deny that they have our genes, we cannot deny that we have an essence of that ultimate center. And so all it takes for that ability to manifest or to ignite inside ourselves, the emotional stability, mental balance, and creativity is to be silent, according to science. So there came so many sages, and one of them is Sage Patanjali. And he created an 8-fold system. And that was given to the society that if you are able to follow all these steps, you will be able to arrive at a state of balance, absolute balance. If you really look at the past, whether it is Patanjali Yoga Sutras or even Bhagavad Gita for Hindus, Yoga Sutras was the end state is not God realization. They never talk about that. Because that ultimate is existing everywhere. Like it's a base. Without the foundation for the house doesn't stand. So without this ultimate base of that ultimate principle of the divine, nothing stands. So there was nothing for them to go there. It exists. There was no doubt that it doesn't exist. So the 8th step of yoga is absolute balance of the human being. The human being, once they strive to arrive at that state of balance and have clear thinking, they are able to perceive. Now nobody needs to show you. When you are blind, you can't see. But when you are able to see, you can perceive everything clearly. Then you are able to perceive your own origin, your existence. What is your base? So that was the goal, to arrive at that state of balance. Even if you look at Bhagavad Gita, the 0 hour of the war, where Lord Krishna was supposed to have given the sermon Bhagavad Gita to his disciple Arjuna. It was not to teach him God realization. He was preparing him to fight. a war for the sake of the truth, Arjuna lost his balance. Because he lost his balance, he lost his peace, and he became emotionally unstable, and thereby he became very scared. I'm killing my own people. What am I doing here? And because of all this disturbance, he lost his clarity. So what Lord Krishna did was transmit that divine vibration, cleared the path of the flow of the energy that was flowing in Arjuna's energy field. Thereby Arjuna regained his balance, became more peaceful, became emotionally stable, regained his courage, and had the clarity that if I, a very strong warrior, allow injustice in the world, who will fight for it? I have to fight for my dharma. It doesn't matter who is in front of me. He came to that state of clarity and he performed his duty. So he arrived at the state of what Lord Krishna called as Sthita Prajna. And how did he arrive? Who helped him? A master of a caliber from the divine region transmitted the essence of that region into Arjuna's heart, bringing him to balance. It is like, sometimes when sugar is down, you're fainting, and in India they bring and put sugar into your mouth. Then you perk up. So when we lose balance, our energy is depleted, we need that blood transfusion. So just like how blood is flowing in the human body to keep it functional, in the subtle body, in the energy field, there is a flow, and that flow is known as prana. And that is the essence of the source. And that is also known as Shabda by the original teacher of the Heartfulness Institute. Sound. Because in that flow, what we hear is that sound of the ultimate. And so many, some called it Om, some called it something else. But when this flow is disturbed, is when the human being falls apart. So how to keep this flow happening? When the mind is totally going outward, it is losing its balance. So the senses have to come inward into the heart field. In the modern day, they call it the balance of the heart-mind field. And what is that? That is what yoga is, union. Union of the mind with the field of the heart. So the mind acquires the qualities of the heart and acquires this nature of the stillness and silence and becomes one with it, and it regains its potency. And because of this union, the consciousness starts to expand. Because of this union of the mind and the heart, the obstacles that are blocking this flow are released. Thereby, there is a free flow of energy in the subtle body field. And that is why we meditate. And that is why Sage Patanjali created this 8 steps of yoga, where there were several steps given. First were like initial disciplines. I will share a PowerPoint and we will go over it. But before I show the PowerPoint, I want to bring one aspect to all of us is, in the heartfulness method, we begin with the meditation. The last 3 steps of the yoga are known as dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Focused awareness, meditation, and absolute balance. These are called samyama. We begin with those, and as we begin with meditation, rest of the yogic steps that were given by the sage Patanjali, they naturally fall into place. How? With the PowerPoint, we will try to understand better of what yoga means, how it can help us. So in these 8 limbs in yoga, according to the sage Patanjali, the first step is known as yama. That is refining our behavior. Because it's our thoughts that are creating this dust on the consciousness field. And this field of our consciousness is what governs our external behavior. Say you have a lot of negative thoughts, non-violent, violent thoughts. It creates an impression and you cannot get out of it. So the first step was to refine our external behavior, non-violence, truth and honesty, non-stealing, moderation of senses, non-acceptance of charity or not becoming greedy. These were the basic qualities, humanness, human qualities. So what they were trying to instill in the society was, it's like us training our children. We make sure that they speak the truth. We make sure that they don't beat up their siblings. We make sure that they don't steal. These are all the basic human qualities. We're trying to instill humanness into them. Why do we need to instill that? We are human beings. We were supposed to be having all these qualities already. Because of the degeneration that happened in the thought pattern, they had to instill this behavior again. And this is known as the first step. But why in heartfulness we start with meditation is, what is it that's making us behave now violently? What is it that's making us tell lies? Because our thought flow got disturbed and went into the negative direction. So that is why the great Babuji, who gave the heartfulness method, started with dharana, dhyana, meditation. He started with the meditation because the first step is to help the thought go inward. Because if you are just going to try and practice non-violence and truth, honesty and non-stealing, our entire lifetime will be gone in that. Because however much physically we try to instill, when something from inside is forcing us to act in a particular way, we are unable to change ourselves. That was why Babuji started with meditation. The second step in this yoga was refining our behavior. Purity of the body, purity of the mind, being content, and penance in the sense of to accept what is happening to us, and self-studies, which is known as swadhyaya, and surrender to the essence of the ultimate. And there comes the posture, asana. It is refining our body. Actual asana means keeping the chest, neck, and heart, everything in line. The head, here it says here, head. The head are on in one, or on aligned. The aligning the chest, neck, and head. This is what asana is in the true sense. Why are we trying to align the chest, neck, and the heart? So we can meditate. And in this asana, when we fold the legs, the reason why we need to have a proper posture, we came from the center and we started to expand. Now we want to experience the presence of that center, so we have to contract. And this is where asana helps us. When you fold the legs, allowing the energy flow go inward, like how when the baby was born, it's all limbs are together. All our limbs are going inward. And so now the energy starts to flow from bottom to the up to the higher levels. Now we are contracting, going our journey towards the center. That is where asana helps us. Next comes breathing, pranayama, refining this energetic body, aligning the energy flow and breath inwards. For this, scientific research shows that if you close your right nostril and breathe through your left nostril, your parasympathetic nervous system gets affected and you calm down. Because it's our nervous system that is getting affected. The thought flow, the mind is so powerful, it affects everything. So how to come back to calmness? Close your right nostril, breathe through your left nostril. You become calm. And you do the opposite. Close your left nostril and breathe through your right nostril. You become alert. Because in meditation, we don't just do left nostril breathing. That is only when somebody is really having a panic attack. We say do the left nostril breathing. In meditation, you breathe both consciously. Why? Because you want to be peaceful. At the same time, you want to be alert to experience what is happening inside you. We have, in the matter, we became so gross that a lot of times we don't even know what organs we have inside, and we cannot even perceive the energy flow that's happening inside us. So that is where the refinement happens, is when you practice all this, your awareness of the body, your awareness of the mind, your awareness of the soul improves. And that is why the sages were able to perceive even the ultimate center in their hearts. And we can't even perceive some peace in our hearts. So we can evaluate where we stand as human beings now. So this, with meditation and all these steps, what happens? Your awareness increases. As you let go of the impurities, the consciousness expands. And what is the purpose of when this consciousness expands? Your awareness increases. A 360-degree awareness happens inside us. So the next step is known as pratyahara. And this is where the refinement of the senses happens. We are aligning the senses that are going outward to go inward towards our cherished goal, which is experiencing that center within our own self and being one with that center. And so we can actually enjoy what is being given to us. A lot of times, we run after external world, trying to make money, trying to build houses, trying to buy everything. And one fine morning, we don't have the health to enjoy it. We don't have the peace to enjoy it. So that is why this physical exercise, taking care of the body, is important. And taking care of the mind is also important. We lost that concept of taking care of the mind, taking care of our senses, giving our senses the right direction, giving our senses a balance. And so this is what, until and unless the senses come to their original state of balance, we don't arrive at that state of absolute balance, and our awareness doesn't increase. So that is why pratyahara. And this is the most difficult step, is allowing the senses to go and allowing the next step to happen. Dhara, flow. The flow of the thought that is going outward needs to go inwards to the center. It doesn't happen. And this is where the heartfulness method will help you. How? In the very first meditation, the essence of the guide, the essence of him is his consciousness. His consciousness is pure. The great masters, all the great masters, they're called great masters because their consciousness is so pure. It is expanded. And from their level, the vibration that they have when they are transmitting with the will that they have, and they are directing our flow. It is like water is flowing and somebody from outside want to change the direction of that water flow. They dig, they remove the dirt, they create a channel and allow the water to flow in that direction that they want, going towards the farms. Same way, the Guru plows with his will, with the power of the transmission emanating from his consciousness, diverts the flow of our thought, which is continuously going outward, and they divert it towards the inside, to our soul. That is the first help given. Until then, we can't even think about peace. Think about, we are in a state of jail. We don't even know what we are suffering. We are stuck in that jail. And the moment the doors are open and we experience freedom, we start to feel a sense of lightness, a sense of peace. And this is the first help given in the heartfulness method. And the next step is dharana, which I talked about, and dhyana. Dhyana is the focused awareness towards the goal. That is the silence that the science is talking about. In meditation, you are letting the mind to come to a stillness, a state of silence, which leads to this state of absolute balance. And this Daji, the leader of the Heartfulness Institute, has given a beautiful example by saying that if you look at consciousness, it is like a pond. If the pond is all disturbed and dirty, can you see the bottom? You cannot. Say you allow the water to settle. What all you have to do is let the water be. Let it be. Don't do anything with it. Don't touch it. It comes to stillness. You're able to see, but you are seeing the dirt. Say you remove the dirt and then the water is still. Very clearly you are able to see the bottom. This is how the mind is. The mind is disturbed. The mind is dirty. Allow the mind to settle, to come to stillness. And with the power of the mind, release with a process, release these impurities out of your field. Impurities are released. Mind is coming to a stillness. You are able to perceive the bottom, which is the source, where your awareness increases. And this is what the heartfulness process is. And these are the steps of yama, where truthful honesty, moderation of the senses, not to steal from others, violence. This is all in thought. A lot of times, we all think, oh, I'm not doing any of those things. But even in thought, word, and deed has to be purified. And especially this aparigraha very touches me, because a lot of times we try to steal others people's hard work and put our stamp on it. And we don't even realize we do that. We think we are truthful, but most of the time when we are complaining, blaming others, we are not truthful. And violent thoughts, we don't say anything, but we hate them so much inside ourselves. We do hurt other people because thought is a vibration. Everything is vibration. So this is what we want to refine to bring the ultimate potency that the human being has. To arrive at that perfect human state, we have to refine these qualities. And for this, the heartfulness has different methods. First, to bring the mind to stillness, we have the method of meditation. To remove the impurities, we have the method of cleaning. And at the bedtime, we have a method of introspection. All these we will talk in the later classes. Since today is an introductory class, we will try to understand the basis of all these practices. The next is integrating noble qualities. That is removing impurities, self-study, surrender to the ultimate, purity of the body and the mind, and contentment. We talked about asana, how by sage Patanjali it is depicted as sthiram sukham asanam. That is, it is a sitting pose which is comfortable, it should be relaxed, and helps you to bring your attention inward for the sake of mergence. And here they are showing the flow when using core muscles to move the energy upward. This is contraction. And in pranayama, prana is the sum total of the energy that is in the universe. And we attribute prana just for breath. Prana for the body is air. Prana for the subtle body is this vibration known as transmission. And physical body, we are able to take care by breathing the air. The subtle body, we need that prana transmitted from a pure consciousness. And this is where the pure consciousness of the guide helps individuals. It is prana which we breathe, by which our body circulates. All forms of energy are manifested of prana. Because according to the original teacher Lalaji Maharaj of the heartfulness method, he says everything is prana. Prana emanates from that ultimate source. And he calls that Shabda. And without that flow, nothing exists. And that is the vibration. Pratyahara is aligning the senses inward, and dharana is a focused awareness, and dhyana is where there is this flow is not, there is no break in this flow. And samadhi is the state of absolute balance, when only the essence of that cherished goal exists inside ourselves. And we arrive at this state of samadhi when we withdraw inwards, and gradually we are, first in the beginning, we are observing, we are receiving the prana, we are observers. And as we withdraw further, we get lost into deep absorption, there where only witness exists. What is this witness? All the feelings that we experience, say anger, joy, somebody is witnessing it. What is this thing that is witnessing your anger? What is it thing that is witnessing your emotions? That is the ultimate pure self. So when that witnesshood state happens, the mind is at its utmost still state. And so this dharana, dhyana, and samadhi together are known as samyama. So this is the part of the yogic tradition. The heartfulness method, original teacher Lalaji Maharaj, he was the one who rediscovered this ancient technique of how to transmit this essence of the source from the highest consciousness to a being that is in front of them, to bring them to the same level. In his research, in his meditations, when he transmitted, he just meditated with this idea, the state of peace that I'm having is spreading to this other person. He observed the other person automatically came to this state of balance. So he utilized this technique of transmission to create masters, transmitted it to Babuji, trained Babuji Maharaj. And Babuji gave a way, a method where ordinary people like us can practice and arrive at this state, so we can truly take care of our body, take care of our mind, and live life in the spirit of joy and celebration. So the heartfulness method is based on this transmission, the prana, and it emanates from the living guide, because our mind transmission is everywhere, but it's like electricity. If you touch it, you get a shock. You go to the switch, you get the light depending on the voltage of the bulb. So a guru's consciousness is like this switch, because our potency is not pure enough. If you touch that live wire, you get a shock. You are destroyed. That is why they create those switches, so you don't lose yourself in the process of trying to become purer and purer. So that is where the guru's consciousness, and the guru has to be in the same earth plane as you. If our mind was so pure, we can directly tap into the source, just like all those ancient sages. We are unable to. Because in the Western world, this concept of guide makes everybody wonder, like, oh, why do I need a guide? Now that I know the method, why cannot I do it myself? And this is the concept, because our mind is not potent enough to directly touch into the source field, to receive that vibration and to restore our balance. So we have to go to a medium, and that medium is the consciousness of the living guide, who is on the same earth plane. If we cannot tap into Babuji's field, or Lord Krishna's field, or Jesus' field, or Muhammad's field, they're not in our field. They are in higher dimensions, and we are not so potent to tap into any of those great masters' field. So you need a guide who is on the earth plane, to whose consciousness you connect and receive this vibration known as transmission, which can bring shift, which can allow the flow to happen, which that flow of transmission is what removes the impurities of that subtle body field and allows the flow to happen. It is like clots in the blood are removed And now that organ is functioning. So this is what meditation is. So in the heartfulness method, how do you meditate? You sit comfortably. First, you relax your body. And that relaxation technique is also a vibration. When a guide or a trainer is giving you a command, relax your knees, ankles, it is a vibration that is affecting that body, releasing the impurities, because there are, just like how in the energy field there are knots when it descended, even in our physical body there are certain knots, energy knots, that are clogged. And when those meridians or those points are clogged, first the physical body needs to have free flow of energy, and then it can penetrate into the subtle body. That is where relaxation technique helps. A lot of times people think, oh, why do I need to? I'm an expert meditator, I can go into meditation right away. But if you really notice, if you take deep breaths, let go through your mouth, you come to a quick relaxation because now mind is settled. And as you do the relaxation, the meridians in each part of your body are released, clog is released. One time my daughter was, when she was young, I was doing the relaxation technique with her, and she says, so mom, you're going to say relax and I'm going to relax? Young kids, how they talk. I said, honey, I'm going to call you a stupid person. How do you feel? I said, why would you do that? I will suffer for a whole week. I said, stupid is a vibration. It's a negative vibration. You're able to accept that and suffer. Why don't you accept a positive vibration, relax your body and relax? And that made sense to her. Until today, she meditates. Why we take pride in kids meditating in America is so hard for children to be in the spiritual path when there is so much outside pull. So at least we are grateful that they're meditating. So everything is a vibration. Thought is a vibration. Word is a vibration. What you say affects the other person. What you say affects you. What you think affects you. What you think affects the other person. That's why we want to refine ourselves with the practice of the meditation. So relaxation helps us. And then you take few breaths, come into the heart, and you bring yourself to a state of attitude of humbleness, because with that attitude you create a vacuum inside you, and you simply allow the mind to rest, and the transmission starts to flow, and the transmission does the job. It lets your thought, in the beginning it's all scattered, it allows your thought to come to centeredness, and as you rest in the heart's field, the mind gradually starts to calm down and you lose yourself. And from that state of observation, you fall into a state of witness and you are rested. And when you come out, you feel light. And so you are able to perform better. Because the purpose of human being is, Daji explains, I will finish with this one thing, is when your father gives you $100, he expects you to invest and become richer. So he says we came with a certain potency, and your father expects you to return back with higher potency. But by getting involved in the external world in the negative direction, we are losing the original potency that we got. We are even losing $100 that our father gave in the business. And going back, what do we face? So that is the purpose, to increase your own potency. The moment you increase your own potency with the right practice of the meditation techniques that we are going to give in the next 6 classes, you master yourself. And then you realize you are not really a servant. You are connecting to the master's essence that is inside you, and you become one. When this emergence of the masterhood that we are talking about it happens naturally when you arrive at that state of 360-degree awareness of the physical body, the subtle body, and the causal body. And you are in that state of witnesshood where you have transcended being balanced, where you are able to experience the peace, and where you are emotionally stable. It is not that we don't fall apart. When, Janaka's, the sage Janaka is supposed to be, Sita's father was supposed to be a great rich man as well as a spiritual person. And when his daughter's parrot died, he cried, and somebody asked, why are you crying? You're supposed to be a spiritual giant. He says, if you cannot resonate with the suffering of your child, how can you call yourself human? So we will face emotional disturbances, but we know how, you will fall, but you know how to get up. That is what meditation does. That's what masterhood is. It is not that we don't suffer emotions or we are not loving people. We know how to withdraw and to master ourselves. So today we will finish with a brief introductory meditation session. I will start with the relaxation and we will end with meditation. As the weeks go by, we will try to explore more thoughts, because all this knowledge and understanding should motivate us to meditate. Because a lot of times people will come with this concept that, oh, we have to wait until we become old to meditate, or we have to enjoy life. But you are not really, it is like us, our generation, we never learn how to exercise properly. Only after some time we realize the value of exercise. And now we are trying to implement, and it is so hard. I started doing yoga only after 3, 4 years ago, and it is so difficult, but I am persisting and keep doing it. Whereas my children, I've trained them from young to be doing exercise. They're all jumping like, doing all the yoga postures, everything, name it. So even meditation is the same way. If you don't start young, it is very difficult for you to master your senses, you can't even fall asleep. Forget about absolute balance as you get aged, because you have overutilized your mind so much. It's going so much. Your mind is so restless. You can't even fall asleep. So meditation, physical exercise, taking care of this body, mind is of absolute necessary from the very young age, so we can actually experience the beauty of this earth and live a peaceful life. So let us all now meditate. Close your eyes softly. Take a deep breath and let go. Feel grounded to the earth.